And welcome back, welcome back. So, have you ever been doing something and wondered to yourself, why am I not getting what I thought I was getting? Maybe it was a product that you bought. Maybe it was a class that you took. Maybe it was some food that you went to the restaurant and you were expecting one thing, but you weren't quite getting that. That is sometimes what happens when we are in a position where we're working on our health. And it doesn't seem as though the thing that we thought we were supposed to get, the result, the A1C, the blood sugar, the blood pressure, the cholesterol, whatever it is, wasn't quite going the way we thought it was going to go. And so we're going to talk tonight about how do we get what we thought we were going to get? And how do we stop comparing ourselves to other people? Because after all, that is sometimes what's causing the problem. Not that we're not getting what we should get, but we're so busy with the other people that it seems as though we're not moving in the right direction. And we're going to talk about that today as we continue in our Play Your Own Game series. Hey, I'm Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E if you're new to me. The E stands for endocrinology. Here I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life. Avoid complications, go to the next level. We're creating the life we've always wanted, and we're moving to the next level, and we are living. That's right, we're living limitless lives. If you're new to me, go ahead and put new in the comments because I'd love to welcome you with a hand clap and some music. And let you know that I am excited that you are here. Whatever platform you're joining us from, if you have questions, go ahead and drop those in the comments. Put a Q in front of those because we'd love to say hello and to answer those questions as we continue moving through this episode tonight. And for everyone, wherever you are, whatever platform you're joining us from, LinkedIn or Twitch or Facebook, and of course, here on YouTube, I welcome you. Whatever country or whatever state you are in, we welcome you as well. I know we've got folks who watch us from Korea, people from New Zealand. We've got some folks from London. And of course, around the United States, we've got Pennsylvania, New York, Ohio, Georgia, Tennessee, California, Nebraska, Texas, and of course, here in my home state of Alabama, or my current state of Alabama, and we welcome you wherever you are. If you are joining us because you saw our content in some other platform, whether it's your doctor's office or your church or your community center, welcome to you as well. Quick shout out to our folks from Atlanta, Berean. If you are here, welcome, welcome. Glad that you are in the house. And if you are here from Nashville, Riverside, also glad that you are here joining us as we continue moving into our health space. We've got some good things that we're going to be talking about. I've got my monitors off to the side that we'll take a look at. Take a look at here in just a minute. And I've got my report that we'll take a look at here as soon as I get that on the right screen. But we'll take a look at that here in just a moment so that we can see what's been happening with my blood sugars. As you know, we have been traveling over the last week and had a great time. Thank you for those of you who came through and hung out with us and saw and fasted with us last week. You saw our lives as we did the pop-ups there. Really had a good time traveling. We were in Florida, and you guys may have noticed, and I think some of you commented on the scene, the background that where I was standing. It was a beautiful area to be in. So thank you for those of you who came through and hung out with us as we walked through last week. We celebrated, y'all. We celebrated our 5th anniversary. We've celebrated our 5th anniversary on this past Saturday, 5 years here on this platform, and we're excited to do that. So the day prior to that, you may have noticed that we actually had a 23.5-hour stream where we streamed 23 episodes of our show over the course of the time, and we had a good time. We really had a good time doing that. And I popped in, saw some of you as you were here with us and hanging out. So thank you for coming through. Let's go ahead and let's take a look at what's been going on with my blood sugar. And let's see. And here we are. So here is my Freestyle Libre. Says that my blood sugar right now is an 85. And you'll see down here, that is what the blood sugars have been running over the course of the last 12 hours. You see that kind of white squiggly line that's there. That's what my blood sugars are. And I can actually put my finger on this. Libre has updated their app so you can actually see what the numbers are at any particular time. So if I scroll my finger across, you'll see right up in this area, you'll see that white number in that line kind of changing. And so about 12 hours ago, we were in the low to upper 90s, dropped down into the 80s for a little bit, and then popped back up in the 80s, 90s, 109, 110. Let me see, what did I eat here? Oh, those were some chips right there. So some chips right there. And so we got up to 113, 114, 109, and then of course started coming back down, which gives us this number that you see what my blood sugar is at this time. And we can go in and we can look at some of the insights, looking at the reports. Let's see, time in range. And let's do that for this one is the last 7 days. You see right here. And you see I'm in range 100% of the time, and that's a range between 70 to 180. If I go to 14 day, we're 94%, 30 days, 84%, and 90 days, 87%. So if we combine the time in range, which is 87, plus the time that's out of range, which is low, right? So we have 100% of our numbers are either in the range or they're low. And the times when they're low down there at the bottom are the times when I was fasting. Okay, so let's get out of that one. And let's see, how about if we go to this guy. All right, so this is what my average blood sugar is, and what I like about this is it breaks it down according to the different hours of the day. And you see these little red, or not green, not red, these little green bars right here. And so 12, 6, 12, 6, 12, 6, and you see my blood sugar over the course of the last 7 days, what it's been averaging about 90, mid 90s to low 100s. If I go to 14 days, usually in the 90s, 30 days, 80s and 90s, and of course 90 days was in the 80s. I mentioned to you that I had my doctor's visit 2 weeks ago maybe, and so we're going to spend some time, not tonight, but sometime this week, going through what my numbers were on that visit. And then if I go over to my Dexcom, my average blood sugar right now is 111 according to the Dexcom. And then scrolling down right about here, you'll see those squiggly lines. Just like I did with the Libre, I can put my finger on there and I can scroll through, and you'll see the Dexcom says my blood sugars have been in the low 100s to I guess up to low 100 to mid 100s. I'm trying to see how high it got. And as you know, the Dexcom tends to be a little higher than the Libre. So that's where we are right now. Okay? And so there we are. Awesome. All right. And then let's hop over and let's take a look at what my monitors are saying. And so I've got a Contour, and then I've got my Keto Mojo. The Contour gives me just glucose, and then the Keto Mojo gives me both glucose, and it also gives me the hold on a second. It gives me glucose, and it also gives me the ketones. There we go. All right, so let's go ahead and do that now. Let me change my screen for a minute. And I do have now ketone strips. Yay! Those overnight deliveries, right? Ketone is the blue, glucose is the brown, and then of course I need a strip for the Contour, and then I'm going to grab a couple of Lancets. Let's go ahead and get that back out and open it up. This is the Contour. We'll get a strip in there. Boom, boom, boom. Let's put these off to the side for a minute, and then begin opening these up. Here is glucose for the Keto Mojo. And while I do that, I'm going to go ahead and open up this guy. This is the one that always gives me trouble. You guys know that, right? All right, so I've not been fasting since we broke our fast last week. So what do you think my ketones are going to be? All right. So I don't usually use a Lansing device. So I usually use the Lancet. So I'm just going to open that up, and that is my needle right there. Hopefully you can see that. I'm going to grab a finger, and I've been kind of picking on this one, so I'm going to keep doing that right now. And ow, 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 ow. And hopefully that gives me a good, okay, not brisk, but good enough. And let's get that in there. And get this one started. And then I'll need to get another drop because I also need to get the ketones. And so right now you see that the Keto Mojo says 101, the Contour says 114, and right there you'll see the Dexcom says 117. If I get this out and then put my ketone stick in, and boom, 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 and let's see what that's going to be. All right, so get that started, and go ahead and start putting your guesses in. What do you think? What do you think it's going to be? And 0.1. Okay, so right in keeping with what we would expect. So ketones that are less than 0.5 considered normal, 0.5 to 1.5, right? Considered nutritional ketosis, and then above 1.5 considered therapeutic ketosis. So if you are, and when you are doing a ketogenic diet, when you're doing a fasting mimicking diet, or when you're fasting with the intention of being in ketosis, then what you want is those numbers to, so I'm changing this. What you want is those numbers to be 0.5 or higher, right? 0.5 or higher. What I was trying to pull up there as I was scrolling through was the Keto Mojo app. Let's get rid of some of these other things that are up. I have too many things that are open on my phone. Right, here we are. So Keto Mojo, and let's pop that over. And what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and sync it. Let's see. It says that I'm not connected for some reason. All right, let's do that. Okay. And so while that's doing that, let's go ahead and we're going to say hello to some of our community members. I see you guys out there. So let's do this. And let's see, we've got Teresa. Teresa says, hi. Hey, doctor and everyone. Hey, Teresa, what's going on? Glad that you are here. Glad that you are here hanging out with us. Go back here. And then I see Cornelia. Cornelia says, hi, Dr. Kenty and Teresa. Kenty said, hello, Teresa and Cornelia. Hello from Pam. Cornelia says, hi, Pam. Hi, Cornelia. Teresa says, I need some help with Kajabi. I am so out of the loop and want to get back in. Anyone can help. So Teresa, drop me a message, or anyone in the community if you can reach out, can help you. But drop me a message so that we can talk about that. Jennifer, howdy all, and Bowie, hi everyone. Teresa, hey Kenty. Cornelia, Pam, Jennifer, Bowie, and hey Teresa from Pam. Awesome. All right. So I think this is looks like it's finished. And let's go ahead here and let's have a quick conversation. So we're looking at these three numbers, and so my blood sugar was 101 with a ketone of 0.1, and then my GKI was 56. Whenever we are fasting, whenever we're in ketogenesis, whenever we are doing a ketogenic diet or a fasting mimicking diet and we're looking to be in ketosis, we want the blood sugar to be as low as possible. right? Relatively speaking, we want ketones to be as high as possible, and we want the GKI to be low. So if you've been with us, you know how we calculate that. We'll be doing more of that as we move through this week. We'll do our check-in, of course, on Wednesday and Thursday, and then talk more on Friday about those. But those are good. Those are good numbers that you want to begin tracking if you are in ketosis, if you're walking through that space of burning fat. And one of the things that I do want to show is, let me go back and pull up another app, which is this one right here. And so this is my weight graph, or my weight that we were looking at, and you'll see the trends down there at the bottom. But someone asked me earlier today, they said, hey, I've been coming to see you for the last 2 to 3 years. How much weight have you lost? And I want to do that really quickly. So in this app, as I only have up to when I was 260 pounds, which is right here. And that was about 3 years ago, 260 pounds. At my highest weight, 287. So 260 pounds down to where I am now at 188, right? So over the course of time, we've lost about 100 pounds, right? So 287 to 187, we're up a pound and 1.2 pounds right now. So about 100-pound loss over the course of that time. And so they said, well, when did you start fasting? And we've done fasting on and off for a long time, starting with intermittent fasting and then extending the fast, and then of course, as you guys have seen, we do our fast as we move through the health action plan on a weekly basis. So that's where we are. All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to get into our discussion for tonight, because it's a very important one. It's one that really can set the tone for whether you are having success or whether you think you're not having any success, and it has tremendous implications for how you see yourself and the space that you will find yourself in over the course of time. So let's go ahead and let's hop over and let's have that conversation right now. So we've been walking through this series, Play Your Own Game, and we've been moving through the various concepts that encompass that. And tonight we're looking at one of the biggest traps that pulls people off course, and that is comparison. Comparison is sneaky. It doesn't always show up like comparison. It doesn't always shout at you, but sometimes it whispers. It makes you glance at someone else, looking at their results, and it makes you wonder, why is their progress faster than mine? Why do they seem to be having it all together? And before you know it, you've either kind of thrown your hands up, or you're running somebody else's race instead of running your own. But here's the thing. Everybody is different. Pause for effect. Everybody's different. Each of you out there, if I asked you, or found 100 people, put 100 people in a room and say, hey, what kind of car do you have? What kind of car do you have? What kind of car do you have? Everybody has different cars. Everybody has a different shoe on. Everybody may have a different color, right? Different shade of color. Everybody has a different favorite food. Everybody has a different pair of glasses. Everyone does not run the same road, and everyone does not have the same thing. And if we are constantly looking at other people, then we miss a key point. So everybody's different. We have different starting points. We have different histories. We have different healing curves. The things that drive you come from the path that you've been on. And even if we have the same things that push us, they push us and push our buttons in different ways. And if you measure yourself by somebody else's timeline, you miss the real progress that your body can be making. So here what we want to do is we want to unpack the cost of comparison. Why it stresses your system, why it steals your joy, why it slows your progress. And then what we want to do is we want to build a framework for shifting from envy to empowerment, because that's how you keep playing your own game. That's how we keep playing our own game. So why is comparison important? Right? So we're talking about the comparison trap. So why is comparison important? Comparison doesn't just make you feel bad. It literally stresses your body. Here's what happens. When you constantly are scrolling, right, through somebody else's weight loss photos, their fasting windows, their gym routines, their brain interprets, or your brain interprets that as pressure. A pressure to flip the stress switch. Cortisol goes up, and when cortisol stays up, it sabotages your insulin sensitivity. It disrupts your appetite. It changes your sleep. It hijacks your amygdala. Remember, that's that brain, or that basal brain part, the one that's responsible for survival. In other words, comparison traps you in the fight or flight mode. I want you to think about it. So you're on Instagram, you're on YouTube, you're on Facebook, you're on whatever social platform you tend to go to. And you are looking at other people. And you're comparing where you are to where they are. And I've talked about comparing with the Joneses. I don't even know who the Joneses are, but that's what we do. Those are the people we compare. And so we're looking to see, well, wait a minute. We started the same time. In fact, you want to hear a story? There is a guy who right now is a very accomplished pianist. Right? He plays. And we started piano lessons the same day. When I say the same day, I mean like the same day. We walked in together. He was over there. I was over here. Started taking piano lessons. And I convinced my parents that piano lessons were not a good idea. And I think they just got tired of me whining. And they're like, okay, you don't have to play. And so he went on and continued playing. And sometimes I hear him play, or I see him play, and I see what he's doing now. Like, he's written scores for movies, right? He's like, not just like low budget movies, like big movies that you know of. And I'll see his name scroll through, or I'll see him in relation to someone else, or I've seen some of the things he's done in the past. And I'm like, man, if I only, how come? Why? Because we were on different paths. We were on different, even though we started at the same space, or at the same place, we didn't end up the same place. Why? Because our lives took different turns. So when we start to compare, though, it amps up our cortisol because we want that. But we don't understand sometimes what it took to get that. I had a patient once who came in almost in tears. And she said, Dr. Woode, I'm eating clean. I'm walking every day. I'm doing the things you tell me, but the weight loss is so slow. But my friend, notice what just happened, right? She took her eyes off of herself. She said, but my friend, she's doing the same thing. As a matter of fact, she's not even one of your patients. And she's doing what I told her you told me to do. And she's losing weight. And the weight is just falling off. What am I doing wrong? And I had to pause and had to remind her that she wasn't doing anything wrong. She was just measuring her progress on someone else's scoreboard. Her body was healing at a pace at what was appropriate for her season of life. Wait. Here. Notice the word that I used. Her body was healing. And our bodies heal at different rates. The time that it took you to get to where you are in terms of your metabolic system is not the same that it takes somebody else. And so us looking at other people, we don't understand what's healing in their body and what's going on in their body. But in the comparison, she couldn't see the energy that she had gained, the stability in her blood sugars, the fact that she was sleeping through the night for the first time in years. I want you to hear me on this. When you measure yourself by somebody else's scoreboard, you're always feeling like you're behind. But you're not behind. You're on your own track. You're not late. You're not early. You're aligned. And alignment, not comparison, it is what heals metabolism. And that is what transforms your health. Because what we're doing is we are working on keeping you alive as long as possible and keeping you as healthy as possible. So the comparison is dangerous because it takes you off that thought process. So now let me clear something up. Because sometimes when people hear play your own game, they think I mean to ignore the rules completely. But I want you to listen carefully. Playing your own game doesn't mean ignoring the pillars of health. Fundamentals are fundamentals. So what we're going to talk about is what is fundamental versus what's flexible. So fundamentals versus flexibility. Think about basketball. The rules, the fundamentals, they don't change. Unless, of course, they change basketball. The hoop is always the same height. The hoop is always the same size. The three-point line is always the same place. The court is the same dimensions. The ball is the same size. You can't all of a sudden decide, well, for me, I'm going to lower the hoop. I'm going to make it bigger. I'm going to use a smaller ball, and I'm going to move the three-point line further or closer to the basket. You can, but you're no longer playing this game. We're all on the same team, but our way of doing what we do is different. I mentioned in one of our other episodes that what I love about watching sports is that there are players on those teams, and those players, they know the fundamentals, but their flair, the way they hold the ball, the way they shoot the ball, the way they dunk, they put their personality into it. They put their flash, they put their flair. You've got Steph Curry, right, pulling up from Kansas and shooting and getting the ball in, regardless of where he is. You got Shaq back in the day, dominating the paint. You got LeBron, right? Now who is, massive. Same rules. Completely different expressions of those rules. And that's how the Limitless Living Health Action Plan works. When we talk about walking, everybody needs to walk. But maybe your walk is brisk. Somebody else's walk is a stroll. Mine is hiking. Somebody does trails. And someone else is on a treadmill at lunch. But everybody is walking, but we walk differently. We're playing our own game. When we talk about balanced bites, the concepts of balanced bites are not intended to say, okay, you have to do it like this. right? So that's not the idea of the concept there. The idea is that you are using the fundamentals of balanced bites, but what they look like, what it looks like, where you put it is different. And if you are not careful, you end up in the space where you're thinking that it has to be exactly the same. So same does not mean same, and consistent is not the same. Does that make sense? So balanced bites. Everybody needs foods without as much sugar. They need to eat less processing. They need to eat food that is whole. But maybe you have a like for a Jamaican flavor. Somebody had like a like for Southern food. Somebody likes Northeastern food. Some people like Italian. Somebody like Indian food. So the principles are the same, but the plate is unique. When we talk about strength training, resistance is universal. But whether you're lifting a kettlebell, using a resistance band, holding a plank, you're still training for strength, but different. Fasting, and this is a big one. Metabolic reset is essential. Fasting resets the body. But some practice time-restricted eating. Some people do 24-hour fasting. Some people do a week fast. Some people do a 72-hour fast. And other people do every other day. The process, the fundamentals are the same, but how we implement it is different. We've all got to rest. We've all got to do recovery. We all have to do structure and planning. We all need structure in our lives. We all need a framework, but how we do that is different. So here's the principle. The fundamentals are non-negotiable. A1Cs are A1Cs. Blood sugars are blood sugars. Blood pressure, cholesterol, weight, those are fundamentals. And until they change, those are the fundamentals. But how we play that game, this is where it comes alive. Because your health isn't about matching my pace or my flavor. It's about anchoring to the same universal laws of health while building a style that is uniquely you. And here's the reflection question I want you to think about. Which of the pillars are you trying to copy exactly like somebody else? Which one are you saying, well, I got to be just like that? And if you don't hit that, then it becomes a problem. What we're looking for is consistency. We're looking for you to play your game in a way that sets you up for the best possibility of success. Right? So fundamentals versus the way that we think about them. And so, what's the cost of comparison? What is the cost of comparison? And the cost of comparison is interesting. The real cost is that it puts you out of alignment with your body, with your values, and with the season of life that you're in. And if we're not careful, that is not a space that is manageable for long, and it really can hinder what we do and how we show up. So we've got to be careful with that one. Think about it this way. Imagine walking into a shoe store. You see a pair of running shoes that look amazing on somebody else's feet. You're like, man, look at that. I want that right there. They're sleek. They look really nice. They match them. The feet look good in them. They make the person glide across the floor. You slip them on because you're like, man, if they look that good over there, what are they going to look like on me? But they don't fit your feet. They pinch your toes. They rub your heel. And before long, you've got blisters. So that's exactly what happens when we don't play our game, when we play somebody else's game. That's what's going on. And we don't want to be in that place of playing somebody else's game. Right? We want to be playing our game. When we get those blisters, though, we begin to question ourselves. We don't say, right, in the health space. In that space, we're like, oh man, those shoes just didn't work. Why? Because we're using somebody else. But when it comes to the health space, what do? We blame ourselves. We said, man, something's wrong with me. Why can't I? I should be able to, right? And that's what happened. And that's not the space that we want to be in. The space that we want to be in is the space where we are allowing ourselves the freedom, if you will, allow ourselves to have grace so that we're like, okay, yeah, this is how we roll. This is what happens when we are aligned with our purpose. This is what happens when I wear the right size shoes. How about that? So first, when we are not aligned, it pushes us into overreach. What does that mean? That means that we all of a sudden decide that we're going to push harder. Push harder. We're going to push faster. We're just going to be better. And so we're supposed to be doing a 72-hour fast, right? Because everybody's doing a 72-hour fast right now. But we've not even done a 16-hour fast. And when that happens, that does not bode well. Because we are not playing our game at that time. We're playing somebody else's game. And we do not want to play anybody else's game. We want to play our game. So when it pushes us out of alignment, we suddenly try to copy the other person. They're in chapter 20 and we're in chapter 3, but now we're there. We're like, okay, that's where I'm going. But we're not there yet. And your brain says, no, I don't like this. I don't want to be there. And because we're frustrated, because our thought processes are not in alignment, we end up either burning out, which we talked about, or the other thing, and both of these are stress responses, we freeze. Right? We talk about fight, flight, but there's also a third one. It's called freeze. We become paralyzed. You scroll, you watch, you compare, and instead of being inspired, you actually shut down. You say, well, what's the point? I'll never catch up. And so you don't even start. And a lot of times that's why people don't get along or get the desired result, because they never start, because they're looking and saying how hard it would be to be like her, like him. We don't want you to be like her or him. So whether you're overreaching and going too far because you're trying to do exactly what they do, or you stop and you freeze, the outcome is the same. Comparison robs you of consistency. And let me be clear, consistency, not perfection, not speed, is the rewiring of our metabolism. Consistency is our superpower. Consistency helps us to lower insulin. It stabilizes blood sugar. It reduces inflammation. It reverses diabetes. It's not the person who goes the hardest for 30 days. It's the one who keeps showing up for 300 days. want you to hear that. So it's not the 30 days. That's great to get you started. But what happens on day 300? In fact, what happens on day 365? So I want to help you shift from the external timelines to the internal progress that's going on instead. So instead of asking, am I losing as much weight as them? I'm asking, am I stronger? Am I clearer? Am I more energized than I was last week? Because if that's the case, the energy that comes from that, the clarity that comes from that, the strength that comes from that will help me on day 300 and day 301 and day 302, day 303. We ask the question, not am I fasting as long as them, but am I more in control of my hunger and my cravings today than I was last month? Because if that's the case, if I'm more in control, then 300 days from now, if I've learned how to do that now, 300 days from now, I still can control it and I don't have to go back to relearn and rehash and figure out why my blood sugar is high, because I've learned what causes my blood sugar to go up and I've learned methods. Oh, come on, right here. So one of the conversations I have often in the office are people who are on GLP-1 receptor agonists, and those are the medications you guys are hearing about weight loss. And when I ask people, what does the medication do? Often they have no clue. Right? People come to me, hey, I'm on this medication. They're transferring into my care. What does the medication do? They don't know. I don't put people on GLP-1 receptor agonists without having this conversation with them. The GLP-1 receptor agonist, and it does lots of things, but we're talking specifically now about the weight component of it. It suppresses appetite. That's what it does. It doesn't burn fat. It doesn't take the fat and poof and make it disappear. It doesn't sprinkle pixie dust to make it shrink. It controls your appetite. And because your appetite is controlled, you don't eat as much. And when you don't eat as much, weight goes down. I want you to follow me. So if we understand that that's what the medication does, it is helping me because it's suppressing my appetite. The question becomes, what was causing the appetite stimulation in the first place? I'm glad that I have the tool. I'm glad that it's doing its job. I'm glad that it is helping me. But what happens when the tool breaks? I can't get the tool anymore. Or I have some complications where I can't take the medication anymore. Have I learned the thing that I need to learn so that 300 days from now, I still have the tool that's helping me? That's a whole conversation for us to have. So we ask the question, am I doing not am I doing as much as they are, but I ask the question, am I building habits that I can sustain for the rest of my life? Then what did I say? For the rest of my life. Not for 90 days, not for tomorrow, not for the day after, but for the rest of my life. Am I able to sustain this for the rest of my life? Because the truth is, comparison tells you that you're behind, but your body only asks, are you consistent? And if you're consistent, then that is a win. Now, the last time we got together, we talked about the PACE framework. Prioritize, align, create boundaries, and evaluate. And that framework helps you set your rhythm so that you're not running somebody else's race and burning out, right? So we talked about burnout last time. But here's the challenge. Even when you've set your pace, even when you've done that, when we compare, it sneaks in, it whispers, you're behind. You're not doing enough. Look at what they're getting. And before you know it, you're off rhythm again. So I want to give you a couple of things, 4 practical tools, micro steps, if you will, that protects that pace that we just did, that pace framework when we're prior, because we've got the Limitless Living Health Action Plan, right? We've got all the things. We're going to be walking, we're going to be strength training, we're going to be eating better, we're going to be resting and restoration. We've got mental mastery, and we've got our structure and planning. We've got that. That is the blueprint. That is the pathway that takes us into metabolic recovery. So that's the pathway. Those are the things that we've got to do. The pace that we talked about last time says, hey, I've taken an inventory, and I'm going to, as I get on the path, I'm going to prioritize 1 or 2 of those things on the pathway. I've got a pretty good job with my walking. Walking is going well right now. So I'm going to put it on an autopilot and let it run, right? Because I'm doing it. If you've been with us, we started a 100-day walk to consistency and health. We did strength, strategy, and mindset, right? So we're in the bridge right now. So you've been doing this for over 200 days, by the way. And so now I need to concentrate on something. I'm going to let that go on autopilot. And now I need to concentrate on, so what's the next thing I'm going to work on? That's what PACE says. I'm going to prioritize. I'm going to align it with who I am. I'm going to create boundaries around it so that people don't cause problems, so that I don't schedule anything in the time I'm supposed to be walking. I'm going to create boundaries. I'm going to protect the time, and then I'm going to evaluate to make sure I'm being consistent and I'm keeping things going. So that's the framework. That's the PACE framework. It's taking the Limitless Living Health Action Plan and it's saying, okay, I'm walking through now, just like when we did the Limitless Living Inventory. I'm walking through each of those now, and I'm prioritizing it. I'm creating a structure. I'm aligning with who I am. This is how I'm going to do it, and I'm creating a boundary to make sure that I protect that time. But as I'm doing that, as I'm walking, as I'm strength training, as I'm eating, as I'm sleeping, right? Here comes somebody else, and they seem to be walking faster. We've been lifting for the same time, but they look more defined. We've been fasting for the same time, and their weight has gone down fast. And all of a sudden, my brain says, hey, something's going on, you're behind. How do we protect that? So number 1, you want to set your metrics. So anchor to the fundamentals, not external. Your steps, your hours, your fasting window, your labs, not somebody else's Instagram post, not their meal plan, your pace, your metrics. You're trying to do all 7 pillars at the same time. No. It is a pathway. Right now, I'm doing a series with some of the churches in the area, and we are walking them through the pathway. We started with the concept of what metabolism is. We started with the concept that we can make a difference. Then we did the Limitless Living Inventory. What is that? And now we're walking through the domains of health. We haven't even gotten to the Limitless Living Health Action Plan yet. Why? Because we cannot get sustained benefit there until we understand the fundamentals. Don't jump to chapter 20 when you have not even read chapter 1. So number 1, set the metrics, my metrics. How am I going to walk? When am I going to walk? What hours am I going to walk? How fast am I going to walk? Number 2, celebrate internal wins. Progress is more than the scale. It's better energy better labs, better focus, better mood. Those are victories. Begin journal them, write them down, stack them up. That's your scoreboard. You heard me talk about self-efficacy. Self-efficacy is the belief based on history that my choices, my decisions, and my consistency can put me in the direction of success where I want to go. And notice what it says, based on history. Based on the fact that I've shown up every day for the last 100 days. Based on the fact that I've shown up every single day for the last 200 plus days of our strength training and mindset. Based on the fact that I am this week fasting, and I fasted for the last 32 weeks. I didn't fast 72 hours, but I fasted 24 hours. This week something happened, I fasted 16. I showed up, and I'm celebrating the win. Number 3, limit triggers. If certain groups that you're in trigger you, leave the group. Talk about Facebook and all the scrolling stuff. If you've got a feed and the conversation constantly pushes your button into comparison, put boundaries around them. You don't have to consume everything that's there. Protect your peace, because peace is a part of health. Mental mastery. And then number 4, reframe competition. Instead of measuring against someone else's whatever, measure against the yesterday you. Oh man, this is a good one. Instead of me measuring the Joneses or whoever that person is, use myself as a metric. What's different about me today than was different yesterday? Have I made an improvement? And the only way that can work is if you're tracking it. If you moved one step further, if you lift one more weight, if you had one more minute of walking, one less soda, that's a benefit. So I'm competing against myself. I choose water instead of soda. I won. Here's the thought. Here's a simple question I want you to ask yourself. Am I keeping pace, P-A-C-E, or am I letting someone else's pressure or someone else's life pressure me and set my speed? Because the moment you can answer that honestly is the moment you reclaim control of your health journey. So let's land it right here. Here's the thought. Comparison is a thief. It steals joy, it robs meaning, and it convinces you that you are on a pace that's not good enough. You're on a path that's not good enough. But the truth is, the win isn't about the fast. The win isn't about the balanced bites. The win isn't about the weight. The win is, how long can I stay alive and how healthy can I stay? Oh, come on, come on, come on. You will hear me continually make that point. Because that's the point that we don't make. It is when I honor my body, when I work at my pace, and I get the benefit. When I measure my energy, my strength, my clarity, my consistency. Am I better today than I was yesterday? Not just by somebody else's scoreboard. When I'm using my When I'm playing my game, I escape the trap of comparison. So this week, when you feel that pull to compare, pause and ask yourself, am I honoring my body's pace? Am I valuing my own progress? That simple reset will free you from somebody else's timeline and put you back in control, put you back in the position of doing what you need to do to win your own game. And we're playing our own game. I want to remind you, comparison will always tempt you. There's always some bling, always some flash, always a place where, man, if I can do it like that. But you have a choice. You can either chase somebody else's scoreboard or you can build your own. I'd much rather build my own. Your body, your metabolism, your healing, they're unique. But the fundamentals are not optional. They are the game board. And within the game board, you get to decide your pace, your strategy, your play. And that's where I want you to focus as you're thinking about this particular episode. I want you to begin processing, maybe journaling, one place where comparison has been sabotaging your health. Replace it with one personal metric that you say, I can celebrate. I've asked people to do what's called the I Can journal. There are two things always in our minds. There is the inner coach and there's the inner critic. And the inner critic remembers all the things, all the places where you've not succeeded. It can pull it up like it has a, I was going to say Rolodex, but that's in the old days. It has a computer program. And it says failure, boom, and then 1,000 things come up. Small things, big things, medium-sized things, it comes up. But somehow the inner coach, his computer or her computer is not working. So they type in successes and it's like, it can't find anything. So your job is to provide the inner coach with data so that at the drop of a dime, they can pull up, oh yeah, that's right, we walked for 30 days. Oh yeah, that's right, we've been walking for 200 days. Oh man, look at that, we've been doing strength training, strength, strategy, and mindset. Oh, look at that, we've been fasting for the last 32 weeks. Oh, look at that, I did a 24-hour. I can journal, I can. And you just write those things in there. You don't have to write paragraphs. I can do strength training for 100 days. I can walk for 100 days. I can only drink 10 sodas when I used to drink 12. Because in limitless living, freedom is not found in ignoring the rules. It's found in owning your pace within those rules. And if you do that, you will find that you are in the space of being successful. And after all, that is what we want. And that is where we begin playing our own game. All right, so that is one of the most important concepts for you to get in the Play Your Own Game series. It is that you are unique. You are special. You are different. The rules and the fundamentals are there, but how you implement them can be different. I did an episode of our show maybe a year ago, and you can go back and watch it. And it was how to create a 7-day menu. How to create a 7-day menu. So I went through and I constructed a menu, right? So things that we had cooked, curry, and you guys have seen some of those episodes that I did. And so well, there wasn't curry on it, by the way. So I created an episode, and I'd come up with this 7-day menu. And when I finished getting ready to go on air soon, I looked at the menu and I thought to myself, you know what? I don't even eat any of the stuff on this menu. Well, not any, but a lot of stuff, there wasn't stuff I ate. But here I was, I had created a menu that was quote unquote good, but it wasn't anything that was consistent with me. So I went back and I revamped it. I got some curry on there. I got some jerk chicken on there. I've got a little bit of peas and rice on there, right? So I got some dal on there, and I put the stuff that I like to eat. And you know what? I can stick to that. But the other stuff wasn't my game. And so one of the benefits of doing this, playing your game, is longevity when it comes to all of those things. All right, so let's go ahead and let's see. We'll go back and we'll say hi to some of our community members. Let's see. Who do we got out there? I'm trying to remember where I was. So Pamela was saying, hey, Teresa. Pam saying hi to Steve. Teresa saying hi to Steve. And Cornelia says, hi, Jennifer, Bowie, and Steve. Teresa Graham said, I have not been receiving the after the show links or anything. Yes, Teresa, drop me a line, drop me a message, and we can help do that for you, help take care of that. Actually, this is a good place to talk about that. So those of you who are in the community, remember the community structure has changed a little bit. On YouTube, that has not changed. So you are here, you see the shows, the extra videos that we do, all those things will show up on the YouTube. And for the community, you have to be a member of the of our group. And so those links will show up in the group. They will no longer show up in YouTube. So in order to get those links, you've got to be in the group over there. I think that's what you're probably saying, Jennifer, Teresa. So yeah, so you have to be in the group to get those links. All right. So family, everything we do is based on our Triple E formula for success. We educate, we empower, and we encourage you. We educate with the shows, with the podcasts, with the blogs. We empower with the tools, the Limitless Living Health Action Plan, Balanced Bites, and we encourage with this incredible community, as I was just mentioning. But here's the heart. This isn't about chasing numbers, and I want to make this point. It's not about quick fixes. It's about building the life you've always wanted. Energy to enjoy your family, freedom from medications, confidence in your own body. That's limitless living. So don't keep your progress to yourself when you see that. Share it with your family, with your church, with your community, because the world needs examples of what health and hope really looks like. Because there are people out there that have thrown their hands up because they're tired of being on that hamster wheel. There are people who are depressed and sad right now because they're thinking that they're not going to be around, or they're not going to be healthy enough to watch their children grow up or play with their grandchildren, or to see their daughter get married, or to see their son do whatever it is. There are people who are confined to homes right now. And a lot of it has to do with metabolic disease. And they need to know that it can work. And here in this space, that's what we do. We're not looking for quick fixes. Can you have quick fixes? Of course. But my goal is, how do we keep you alive as long as possible? And how do we keep you as healthy as possible? Because if we can do that, all of the other metabolic stuff that we're talking about, all of that improves. Because we're no longer just chasing that one thing. What we're chasing is a healthy life. And whether it's a high blood pressure or cholesterol or heart disease or risk of stroke, risk of heart attack, fatty liver, obesity, pre-diabetes, polycystic ovarian syndrome, diabetes, any of those, if you have inflammatory diseases, if we can keep you healthy and alive, they improve. And that's what we do here. That's what we want to do. Oh, let me say hi to someone I see. Dolly. Dolly's coming through and saying hello to everybody. Let me pop back over here. So Dolly, she says, hi, everybody. Dolly, thank you for coming through. I don't think I remember seeing you before. Thank you for joining us in the community. Always excited when we have new folks who come through. So thank you for being here. And then Jennifer saying hi, Dolly. Cornelia saying hi, Dolly. Oh yeah. So love the community. So everybody, hey, so as we go through this week, so last week we were away. We're back in the studio, as you see, this week. We ended our Strength, Strategy, and Mindset series, and we're in the Bridge to Mastery. So after each of the series, we do a Bridge to Mastery. So we did a 100-day walk to consistency and health. We did a Bridge to Mastery between that and the Strength, Strategy, and Mindset. We've just finished 100 days, y'all, of Strength, Strategy, and Mindset, where we did our weight training, and we're in the Bridge series right now, getting ready for our next 100 days. Notice, so 100 days of walking, 100 days of strength training. We did a bridge, and we're going to do another 100 days. So come on out and join us. This is to give you a space so that you don't have to recreate the wheel. As part of our MOVE campaign, metabolic optimization via exercise. That's what we're doing. And you can come join us for that. So make sure you come through. So anyway, so we're back on schedule. Tomorrow we'll start our fast. You'll get to see what I eat for the last meal as we get into our fast for this week. We're heading into our 72-hour fast. So come join us, and you can start wherever you are. If you're doing a 16-8 intermittent fasting, or you're going to be doing a 24-hour, 48 hours, 72, come on, let's do it together, right? So we'll start that tomorrow. We'll do our pop-up live around 1:15 to 1:30. Right here on the channel. We will have our check-in again on Wednesday, and then our show Wednesday night. Thursday, we'll do our pop-up live. Thursday night, we'll do our show. And then on Friday, we'll do our complete review of fasting, where we talk about how to prepare for the fast, how to get through the fast, and how to break the fast. And you will get to see what I eat for the first time after 72 hours. On Saturday, we'll have video from the vault. Sunday at 6 a.m., This Week in Review. And then we'll be right back here on Monday for Dwain Woode, MD Live, as we continue in our series on playing your own game. Join us in the community if you've not done that yet. Down there somewhere, there's a button that says join. Join the community. Come on, let's support each other. Let's work with each other. And let's be there. Community is so important. Community is huge. That's why it's one of the Triple E formulas for success, right? So educate, empower, and encourage. And that is very important. When you come, share your story, share the places you're having success, share the places where you're having struggles, because your story, as flawed as it is, as dysfunctional as it is, as sometime-ish as it is, your story is exactly the answer to somebody else's question. And so we love having you, all of us, have some dysfunction, me included, and you guys know mine. You know some of mine. But we're glad you're here. I'm always glad when I'm here with you and being able to walk along this path with you. Hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. We're creating the life we've always wanted, and we are living limitless lives, which says that we're not allowing anything, nothing from outside or nothing from inside, to prevent me from doing what I need to do. I'm showing up with my best self, my best health, and my best plans for my life. Thank you for being here. Good night, everybody.